The workshop itself was very, very needed. We're just getting to our 10 years mark soon, 2 months. It's very important to kind of like stop one moment and kind of use other different tools that you don't normally use to look in your life and your reality and your communication. Basically looking at knowing who you are, because that's, people can say that's define a lot of who a person is.
We've noticed how it's been very easy. You return to the old behaviors, without even thinking. But after the level 2 workshop, we kind of catch ourselves and sometimes stop and like, oh, let's talk differently. Let's have a different conversation from a different place. And so I think that we have averted many discussions in the past couple of weeks just with the tools of the workshop. I feel just even more delightfully surprised because the content and the format is just so smart, because it's so simple, but it gets to the root of many issues without us knowing. I think our communication improved, so the tools are there. You just go deeper in level 2. Level 1 is just kind of like a teaser. It's like a taste, but just also the length of time. The format is similar, but level 2, you go deeper.
I'll say 2 things. Number 1, it's process that, it makes sense in life. Sometimes if you want to jump to the second level and scale, they have meaning. So you can always jump higher. You got to build some base in order to grow from. That's one. The other thing I'll say that, the both were impactful, or maybe, the second is the fruits of the first, because maybe you laid a foundation. It was just very specific, good tools that were very needed. There was an example of like things that you can say to yourself. If you see your partners acting different, like how you want them to act, wow, that's what I'm doing. Interesting. I never thought I'm doing that. This is interesting insight. And actually, now that I see this behavior, I can understand more that maybe doing this behavior, doing this pattern is actually enabling, disabling any change. So I'm blocking it.
We would have stayed stuck in this loop and just not break it and not go past it. I don't know. I want to say I came in knots, and then I came out with a lot of like release and things kind of out in the open. I know we all have different parts, but I never really gave voice to the different parts. And so something that a big takeaway for me was giving voice to all those different parts, because then I stopped telling myself just one story. And I stopped making, it's helped me to detain myself and pause from making up a story just from one part or from one emotion. And, if I can see that I have different pieces and different feelings, I can also be open to him having a different story. Something opened up after the workshop to where I took all of these tools and started seeing myself in the world and the relationships that I have with family that I love and that are sometimes difficult, with children that I adore. And sometimes it's hard for me to relate because I'm in the adult and I don't touch that, that child side. And since I've been doing that, I've had an amazing connection with my children, which I was missing.
I came up mentally, not in a good place, And the truth, my intention originally for the workshop was just to pass it, just like let it fly by me. Not because of a bad place and all, because from the mentally, that's where I was like in a very hard place. After the workshop, I was in a very different place. I kind of was asking a lot of questions. I was very emotional, but I felt like I got more to myself. In a way, it gave me the ability to express myself in a better way and show the complexity and create a better conversation by that. The truth is, it was very impactful because the reason it was so impactful because it got me thinking more about how I act, how I react, how I analyze reality, about myself, about connection. So it pushed me more to my past, growing up, different things that that it shined the past in a different light, you can say. I can't figure or think about like any other similar forum or impact in that life that you just sit with other couple, learning from their experience, learning from their problem, sharing it just gives you a lot of insight, including couple that like maybe on the same roadmap like you, just a couple of years ahead. So hearing their experience, it's all those like back of your head questions you don't always ask. So it just it's very powerful like circle, between people and yourself, and just to kind of do a deep dive to yourself, which you never do, because it's always about whatever, the rent and the kids and the trip and this and the credit card and all those interesting conversations, this and that. Like I told my friend, hey, I'm going to this workshop like 3.5 days. Everybody, wow, 3.5 days. But like, yeah, but it's very interesting because once you start it, like the mindset is different and there's a really flow.
The way that Gal and Liron just carry you with such care makes you touch places inside that you don't realize are there, and that can hinder your relationship or our relationship. And I agree with Hagai. I mean, before this workshop, he was like all iffy about having professional guidance, and sometimes friends can't do what Gal and Liron did. It's a specialty. It takes not just like study, but it takes empathy and just I don't know, just a fine-tuning accompaniment, to know where you guide each of us based on your knowledge. And at the end of the level 2 workshop, I felt a huge release. A lot of hope, and kind of looking forward to the work that still needs to be done, right? How to take that into real life, into our day-to-day.
I hope, we want to do it like on a yearly basis,
I'd like to do it more often, of course. We look forward to the next one, whether it be level 3 or a continuation of 2. You could stay in 2 with so many different examples, that's the work, that's the journey.